And we forgive ourselves. Okay, you know what? And it lets us move forward. Okay, I am one bad dude. That's great. I'm glad we got that established. And so now I can go and do something. And the trick is what do we choose to do? I, of course, can continue to do bad things if I wish, but in order to eradicate or make those things less in my life, the choice is to do something good. So we choose something that we want, something that's beneficial, something that moves us forward, and we fill ourselves with that. You know, it's really interesting if we watch some people in the entertainment industry, and I've looked at that, and we love the bad boys that go to jail and come out and then they have this career, but you know, something is happening there. They did something inappropriate, received some sort of punishment for it, but when they came out, many times, and I'm not saying all the time, but many times you see these people supposedly transform their lives, but they really didn't change anything. All they started doing was putting more time in on something that they love, whether it was as an actor or whether it was as a singer, Johnny Cash, those people, and they just kept placing themselves in this avenue of life that carried truth and beauty with it. And they filled their lives with that, and hence they had families, and they had careers, and they had all of this stuff, even though they had this dark history back there. And that's because they just stopped spending time in the past. They moved forward with something good and something tangible, something that could be shared with their fellow man. And it's the same, that example is there, we can see it over and over again, and it's the same for all of us. All we need to do is to put something in our lives that's good. I mean, I don't know, there's a bunch of suggestions in here. If you go through the end of that 12th chapter, they start listing all kinds of things. Bless them which persecute you, distribute to the necessity of saints, give into hospitality, rejoice in hope, continue instant in prayer. You know, it goes on. Provide things honest in the sight of men. And it doesn't have to be anything that's listed in here. We choose things. You know, choose to be happy. Just one thing. Choose to enjoy each moment of the day instead of hate each moment of the day. Choose to sincerely say hello and interact with other human beings on the planet in a pleasant manner. You know, I just recently, it's just amazing to me the extents that people can go. There's a piece of property I'm dealing with where there's an argument over ownership, and right now they have an individual in the place that is acting as a caretaker, and people in the community don't like the person that's a caretaker, so they're calling up saying, get rid of that person out of there. Remove them. We don't want them in our community. Well, you know what? It's not their house. You know, it's just that simple. It doesn't matter what they want in their community. They don't get to figure out who inhabits a particular household. You know, if they got a real problem and someone is not supposed to be there, then you know, go to the local authorities or whatever they have to do. But can you imagine a community getting together and deciding they don't like a particular individual that lives in their neighborhood, so they have to leave? And you know, I know they do this, and there's this whole thing that happens when someone has had legal circumstances that have visited upon them that makes that happen. But you know, it's amazing that they have all of this time in life to be concerned about things, and they have no idea. They've never met the person, don't know anything about them, nothing about their history. They just don't like the idea. And somebody obviously has crossed swords with somebody. But the whole thing is in our lives for ourselves, we have such choices that we can make each day. And the acceptance of ourselves for who and what we are, okay, so I'm not Donald Trump. It's okay. It's okay. I can get by without being Donald Trump, you know. Maybe it'll be tough, but it's a possibility that I can get through life that way. And I can do something else. Maybe I visit people in the hospitals. You know, that's a possibility. You know, maybe, you know, I help people in courts of law. That's a possibility. You know, maybe who knows what we do in life. Maybe, I sell newspapers on a street corner, but I do it with a smile. Happy to see everyone. Maybe I open a bakery, and maybe I have baked goods that are wonderful for people to eat. Maybe it's a shawarma shop. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But anything that we do, it's what we do and what we bring to others. And it's our attitude toward it, as we ourselves assume a certain attitude. And I thought it was wonderful what Reverend Ken read this morning about the idea of prayer. And here's this little box and this trap, and of course Doctor would call it getting into the attitude of the thing desired, is you set your mentality for a certain thing. You set it a certain way. You want to become a certain thing. Well, the way that you become it is by setting your mentality to that thing and being open and receptive for what's given to you. A truly amazing thing went on this past week, and it's really, I consider it truly amazing, but our lives are open for what is supposed to come in when it does. Matthew has always been plagued about the idea that he thinks differently than other people, and that, there's, he doesn't understand why people make certain decisions sometimes and do certain things, and he wonders if something's wrong with him because he thinks that way. Well, this past week, in of all classes, some strange class called health, there's this professor who's foreign extraction that also teaches the judo class. And this is a personality test breakdown, and the professor was very proud when he passed out this personality test and says, there's this one group you guys will never be like, because there's only 1% of the country or the nation that ever lands in that. You guys are going to be in all these other categories. And so after the test is over, it turns out Matthew is in that 1%. So now, what makes him happy is he knows there's others like him out here. There's a few others that think the same way, and so the burden is relieved. And he's more accepting of himself. And so the result of that is it's easier to go on and do things in his life. I'm okay. I'm not that different. There are others. Okay, it's only 1%. That means that, out of 340 million, there's 3 million. There's 3 million like me. Okay, they're around. They're not easy to find, but it's okay. We have our own group, our own little following, so to speak. But that's the whole thing. Whatever you are, accept yourself for that. And then if there's, let's just assume for some strange reason that, maybe you have Dexter's problem, you're a serial killer. Okay? Well, how do you stop being a serial killer? Well, it isn't going to be by trying to monitor yourself to somehow quit it. You have to start engaging yourself in doing something else so that you are engaged in doing something else 24/7. So if there's aspects of us we want to change, it isn't by looking at those and mulling over them, and that's not what you do. You get aspects, you get something you actually want to do or become, and you put all your time in there. And guess what? The other thing just fades out of existence because there's no more time for that anymore. You've spent your time doing something that you consider being constructive and positive. And that's all you need to do, and you overcome evil with good. And I'm not out there judging the moral goodness or badness of it. I'm just saying in your life you look at something and say, this is good, this is bad. Well, then do this. Just do that for a while. And you won't have to worry about the bad aspect of your life. And that's how it's done. It's a very simple process. You nourish that aspect of you that's fruitful, that's truthful, that's worthwhile, that's loving, that's kind, that's gentle, and it doesn't matter what others think or say. You just move on from that aspect. So with that in mind, let us go forward and